You're listening to Dirty Feet, a dance podcast. I'm Alison Elizabeth Burns. This is happening. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing two different dance artists. First, Hannah Sampson, who is a senior dance artist with Stopgap Dance Company, and Renata Suter, who is artistic co-director of the Propeller Dance Company. I am speaking with them both here at the Lab O Performance Space at the Ottawa Art Gallery in, of course, Ottawa. So if you hear some noise in the background, know that that's just a lot of buzzing about happening. The Stopgap Dance Company is based in the UK. Hannah and her colleague Lucy Bennett, who is the co-artistic director of Stopgap, along with Laura Jones, have been here for a couple of weeks working with the Propeller Dance Company. Propeller Dance is presenting This Is Happening, which is a National Arts Centre co-production with special guests Stopgap Dance Company from the UK. This is Propeller's first full-scale international commission, resulting in Stage Door, a production which runs parallel to a variety of other works in the program, by and performed by a variety of other artists. These artists include Renata Suter and Liz Winkler, Catherine Ng, Avenport and Shara Weaver, Jessie Huggett, and Hannah Sampson. Stopgap Dance Company is driven by a diverse creative team who uses dance as movement for change based in the Southeast England. And Propeller, as an integrated dance organization for people with and without disability, is committed to inclusion, diversity, and equitable accommodations in the pursuit of artistic excellence. Hannah was first an original member of Stopgap's youth company, and from 2010 worked as an apprentice dancer. In 2013, she became an original member of SG2, and they graduated in 2016 into the main touring team and has since toured nationally and internationally. Hannah, what is your definition of Stopgap, or what does Stopgap mean to you, Hannah?
I guess Stopgap Dance Company, to me, is such a diverse group. We get paid to do our job. And that it just means that we combine everyone together as a support group. We work with, disabled and also non-disabled artists. And it's that kind of chemistry that we have between us, that we get to know each other more through dance and tell a story on what we do as well.
I just want to respond to something you said, where we get to know each other better through dance. Now, do you just mean the company members, or do you mean all of humanity?
Yeah, we tell a story a lot in most of our work that we do. So we've got a current piece called Flock, which is an outdoor production, and that is for 6 dancers. And that kind of story, or the message behind that piece, is about stereotypes. And the men dressed as ladies with frocks and skirts, and the ladies wearing sheets, which are representing men. So we sort of there's this uproar of a celebration behind that. So that's our outdoor piece. We've got that is currently touring at the moment. The past few productions are like The Enormous Room, which is about loss and grief, and that is one of my favourite pieces that I've done because it actually remembers my experience when I've lost my grandparents. So it's such a real life experience to feel that. And within the Enormous Room piece, it's my character that I play is called Sam, and she lost her mum. So it sort of represents that kind of feeling of pain and loss. So most of our work really represents the story and the meaning behind, and that, and as she said, it's about a movement for change.
And Frock has also been turned into a dance video, which is lucky for us over here across the pond who can actually still access that work and enjoy it. Okay, so you have toured internationally, as we've spoken about, although this is your first time in Canada. Welcome. So happy to have you. I want to know, what is the most interesting thing to you about working internationally?
So working internationally and also nationally around the world is like what really gives me that kind of that buzz and that energy is the buzz that the audience gives. And that's what's really important, is because like we're such a diverse group, and that we want to bring a lot of change, a lot of inclusiveness. So bringing inclusive into the world, and that is what's, and getting a bit more of a fan base and the networking side of things into place, which is exciting.
Okay, I'm gonna jump around a little bit, and I'm gonna speak to Renata now, and I want to start with the question of why Stopgap Dance. From what I understand, you secured this funding to commission this piece from an international artist, and you invited Hannah and Lucy.
That is a great question, Alison. I've been a fan of Stopgap from afar for many years. And Liz Winkler and I spent a lot of time researching and thinking deeply about who we wanted to have the company work with. We have great relationships with our Canadian fellow disabled arts and integrated dance artists. And we wanted to reach broader outside of Canada because we feel like Propeller is ready to expand. And so we wanted to build connections as well. But why Stopgap? Because their work is beautiful and their work is so professional and so moving and so provocative too. Like they really push that, like Hannah was saying, the questioning piece about stereotypes and about who's on the stage and who's not on the stage. So their political message was really important to bring to Canada as well, because I feel that Propeller also is trying to say some similar things in our own artistic voices. But through working with Stopgap, we wanted to really amplify some of those messages as well. And I'm just a huge fan of their work. And that's the reason. And one more thing is that Propeller and Stopgap both have that, in my opinion, a shared value of dancers of all abilities being in their company. So we're not being specific about ability or disability in our companies. It's about the performers and what they bring. So both companies have a real wide diversity of lived experiences of disability in their companies. And that's kind of rare in my experience. So that too was very important. And we're so lucky to have Hannah here creating, because some of our artists also have intellectual disability. And so then to see that professional role model of what Hannah has achieved just gives us all another boost, so that role modeling and support internationally is really, really important to us. We're really happy with our decision.
Good, good. Yeah, I want to follow up on that in just a second. I also want to point out your use of the word professionalism, and Hannah earlier how you said you get paid for your work. And it's like should be understood, but isn't always. And that I think is a value that the companies share. So on to the experience. I want to know, Hannah, what has surprised you the most about working with Propeller these 2 weeks? Is it that you're here? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, and what surprised me is how very diverse both Propeller and Stopgap, like bringing both companies together. And I've noticed that, like, there are other learning disabled, Down syndrome people, like I am as well, and Chris, who is the founding member of Stopgap, and he started the whole company in Stopgap in 1996, and this is the main goal. What Stopgap is all about is making that change and that diverse, inclusive world. So what really surprised me is how, like, very, really inclusive this group is over here. Like, I can see how very different it is compared to in the UK. So, yeah, I guess it's that, like, I'm just really surprised with how very focused this group is. Really, like, they know what they're doing. They've got like a natural feel-good vibe that we're so used to. Yeah, I guess, like, and being with them for like 2 weeks is just really moving to watch them, and I'm just so pleased and really grateful to be here.
Lovely. I'm going to turn that around and ask Renata the same thing. What has surprised you the most about working with Stopgap?
I'm in awe of Lucy and Hannah. Touring is not easy. Being away from your family and your familiar space, your home, is not easy. But Lucy and Hannah are every day coming with so much to give. And like Hannah said, this incredible positive vibe, but they're also coming with this very calm vibe that for someone with an anxiety disorder is really welcome, because things can get really chaotic very quickly in Propeller Land, because there are so many different ways of doing things, and you want to make sure that you're building an inclusive and kind and caring space. So what surprised me is the work that Lucy and Hannah have created is really strong in such a short amount of time. And everybody is super calm and ready to go. So, and I guess also the work ethic. Like, sometimes we spend time making sure that everybody is doing okay. And not that the work comes second, but sometimes the work can suffer because we have to take so much time. Whereas I'm learning a lot from watching how Lucy and Hannah are really just focused on the work in their own positive, kind, and caring way. And so, yeah, I think it's their work ethic. It hasn't surprised me, but it's been really valued and welcomed. And they've worked with a large cast. The cast is 12 dancers on stage. So that's a lot of people. And they've made some really stunning work that I hope Propeller can keep alive.
Wonderful. Yes, let's talk about the work. So Lucy, we've been referring to as Lucy Bennett. And Hannah, you are co-choreographing with her. Is that right? Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about, so what I know of Stage Door is that you're going to take small groups of audience members through an intimate backstage tour to see vignettes while the rest of the audience watches a cycle of on-stage dances. Can you tell me more about the idea behind this work?
Sure. So Stage Door is set backstage, even though it is about waiting in the rings. We at Stopgap believe that, I'm just reading this bit. So the piece is set backstage, and it's about waiting in the wings. We at Stopgap believe that disabled people need to be represented more on stage. This is why we're asking this question: why are disabled people waiting in the wings? So that's a message for everyone, and hopefully in Stopgap we can make that change, and with Propeller as well. And it's just been great to be choreographing with Lucy, because Lucy created most of the ideas, and I was there, taking all those ideas and then putting it into my kind of work. And so Lucy did most of the backstage ideas, and we started off in the dressing room, into the corridor, into the scene dock, and then I've choreographed the final section, which is called the finale. And all the ideas that we've used in this piece is basically, yes, waiting in the wings, but also representing the inclusive part as well, and bringing a moment of shine into this as well, which I think is really important to advocate that. So this piece is about basically that, and hopefully it can change people's minds about making this change and this inclusive.
Thank you. We're starting to go into the direction of the how, because I'm very curious always about how people co-choreograph, how they work together, and I want to hear more about how you and Lucy collaborated. But first, I want to get some definitions sorted. So this work is site generic, and I've heard the term site specific before to mean the work is inspired by a specific place. What does site generic mean? And this is an open question for either of you to answer.
So this piece, Stage Door, is can be performed in any other theatre and in any other backstage theatres. So if we do it in the town, it might not work. It needs to be in a theatre, and you can put this on stage. But if it's set backstage, it needs to be in the backstage in any other theatre that's out there. So I guess you can slightly rework it. So not every theatre is the same as Labo's, and every theatre is very different how they built. So yeah, it's just bringing the whole piece together on stage or in backstage, anywhere you go.
That makes perfect sense. And then the other term I wanted to define was devised. So as a devised piece of work, I understand that to mean like you didn't come over here with this work already made. You made it here in collaboration, I assume, also with the performers. Just tell me a little bit more about what devised work means in this piece, in this context.
So we didn't really come. Well, we did most of our research stuff first online in the UK, and Lucy and I kept in mind what the time difference is. So it's because our 10 o'clock there is 3 o'clock over here. So it's finding that time to that is sort of, but the devised word for us is, I guess, all everything that I said about the ideas that we've worked on, started from the online workshops that we did. Most of the ideas was choreographed by Lucy, and she was showing pictures and videos of what kind of work that we're going to work on. We brought them into life onto the dancers, and then we've let all the dancers explored so we can get to know them a bit more at first, and then once we're here, both Lucy and I decided to, okay, now that we got to know everyone, let's put them all together. And that's why we created this piece, Stage Door, with all the ideas that we've got in the dressing room, in the scene dock, in the corridor. So it's been a really fun process. And we've got a duet in the dressing room, which is between Moni and E. We've got a solo and duet in the corridor between Russell and Jeffrey. And then Dylan is the compere, who is like a TV host. So I've been helping out with that kind of character for him. And it's been really fun to do because, this tells a story, like a meaning, and I'm so used to, bringing that story alive. It's been fun.
It strikes me that it's kind of a takeaway from the pandemic, maybe, that we have this skill set now to work online, that you were able to kind of, I don't know if it would have occurred to you to work online in lead up to this in-person residency. No, I'm getting head shakes. But I've got to change directions for a second, and I want to talk to Renata about open energy. And if I'm not mistaken, was this presented at the National Gallery of Canada not too long ago? And this is one of the pieces that's going to be on stage. Tell us a little bit about open energy and kind of this take the time it takes theme it has.
Thanks, Allison. We sort of, as Bella Bowes, one of our dancers in Propeller, but this is her expression, we're going to puzzle piece it together. And when Lucy and Hannah had the concept of the stage door piece, I had to puzzle piece together what was happening on stage. So in a way, this production has two shows happening simultaneously. And while people are on the backstage tours seeing the stage door piece, we have the rest of the audience in the theater experiencing some beautiful solos, duets, and the ensemble piece, Open Energy, that Liz Winkler and I co-choreographed. And that came about, as Alison, you've said, we were invited to be part of a exhibition at the National Gallery that was about dance and the body, but there was no representation of the disabled body in that national exhibit. And so one of the educators at the National Gallery invited propeller dance so that the body was seen in all of its diversities and many forms. So that was a really important opportunity to take up space and be seen. And we created the piece Open Energy a little bit in response to the site-specific space of the National Gallery. So the work is really a response to finding beauty in all of the performers in the company and finding beauty in small shapes, large shapes, and how they work abstractly together. So the dancers are tasked with many structured improvisations, and they enter with this concept of you are the art, and you're showing unusual perhaps parts of your body, like the inside of your elbows or the backs of your knees or the inside of your ankle as as a way of making beautiful sculptural shapes. And the piece evolves. It also has a piece where we're sort of reflecting on the pandemic and a lot of the challenges that many of us have had as we've gone through that time. And we're asking, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. No, I am not okay. So we're also trying to sort of bring to light, it's okay to talk about mental health challenges. It's okay sometimes not to be okay. But we're doing it through dance, and we're doing it through this sense of exchange of energy. The beautiful thing about dance as an art form is that performers are trained to create an energy, and even a movement can be very small, but if the performer is really telling the audience, this is important, look at my fingers, then the audience feels that energy and can find beauty in slowing down and in beauty in the small gestures that a dancer can make too. So that's a little tidbit about it. And we're really fortunate to be gifted music by Mika Pawson, who's a local Ottawa musician, and her music is really inspiring a lot of the movement as well.
I want to speak briefly to production elements for this work, but also its impact on the artistic elements of this work. So what I'm speaking about is all the accommodations that are being made. You're offering ASL interpretation, audio description, pre-show tours of the performance space, and relaxed performances. And first of all, I think it would be great to get a quick definition of what a relaxed performance is, because I think it's surprising how all-encompassing that can be. For example, I could bring my baby to a relaxed performance, which opens a lot of opportunity. But what do you need to keep in mind when you're creating work for this context? Or do you? Or is it an afterthought afterwards where you go through and you scan the work and you see if it's suitable for this kind of atmosphere?
So in Stopgap, we've got this piece called Lived Fiction, which is a new indoor piece that we've been working on. And this piece, Lived Fiction, has got a load of audio description and load of excess behind what the movement is and what the current text could be, or the future as well of what the next move is. So there's a lot of integrated excess into this piece. And what Lived Fiction is about is more integrated access for all disabled people out there, for the blind, for the hearing impaired, etc. And we are supporting them as well. So I know this is called the piece that we're working on here is Stage Door. So if we collaborate with text and captioning, audio description like that, would be useful, only if there is a diverse group of audiences who's keen to watch us, and also propeller as well. So relaxed performances is a way for the audience to touch tour the costumes, so they know what the costumes feel like, whether the costumes make sound, and even though it's quite difficult for us to be moving at the same time for them to touch tour you, it's really difficult for them to tell what will happen for them. So that is why we've got captioning and audio description to for them to hear or to not. So it helps them know in the space where we are. making that sound. The new current indoor piece, Lived Fiction, will be touring next year. But with this piece of Stage Door, hopefully we'll get things like that in. But we don't know when, or we don't know how yet. But as soon as we know how diverse the audiences are, then that would be great to put that in. And hopefully it will make it much more inclusive and diverse for everyone.
Yeah, I've noticed that Lucy has written up beautiful descriptions that are posted on the walls as well. So, often we just will say those things out loud, but there's descriptions of the music that she's posted on the wall. There's a description of what's going to happen in the piece that's posted on the wall. So there's a lot that can go into access, and ideally you are creating the show with that in mind from the very beginning. This one maybe has been a bit challenging because of the nature of it coming together at the last minute and many reasons for it. But as Hannah has said, we can always keep making it better and making it more accessible. From our side at Propeller, I think one of the really big access pieces is the amount of flexibility that we have to have. Sometimes somebody might need food and we have to rush out and buy them a meal or figure out their transportation, or be flexible because they have a last minute medical appointment, meaning that they can't be here for the tech run, or, all those things that it's sort of accommodating life, I think, from the artist's point of view, and making that possible.
I wanted to know if you had anything else to tell us about your collaborative style with Lucy and how the two of you work together. You mentioned a little bit about how she came up with a lot of concepts and how you choreographed the finale. But yeah, what is it like in the room with the two of you together?
So I've known Lucy for a really, really long time. So I know what kind of concepts and the ideas that she would want to really choreograph a good chunk of people. And it's been, and this is my first time choreographing this piece with Lucy, because in the next couple of years ahead, and now I'm working in progress on a solo piece. I am also choreographing myself. So this is a great stage to start working towards that, and working with a diverse group, and with Propeller is so much fun to be creating a piece on them. And so with the first part of Stage Door is choreographed by Lucy, but with the finale, I've been taking her ideas and I've choreographed this whole finale section, which everyone is taking part of. And I sort of got the idea about waiting in the rings and not being represented more on stage. So, and that's what's really important to me, is that everyone needs to shine in their own way. And that is what the finale is about. So I just wanted to bring a ton bit more uniqueness into this piece, but still keeping the same ideas on what Lucy wanted.
Without having seen it, it kind of gives me the impression that a different cast would result in an entirely different finale, yes?
Yeah, it's, so if we ever did this on a different group as well, hopefully things would bring more to life as well. But also Propeller has been great picking out by watching them move is like such a breath of fresh air, and it gives so much joy that what Stopgap really want to invest in more, and that is it's just so enriching to watch and to inspire from. And I guess Renata had said earlier that it's been such a pleasure for me and Lucy to be here, and bringing Stopgap more often into their work is such a powerful collaboration to work together. And hopefully we can still keep this connection between us, this networking side of things, with make it much more inclusive and more diverse, and in different other countries as well, but also with other companies that can, I guess, want to go much deeper with their practice.
Fabulous. This bleeds right into this question of, and you can answer this from the perspective of Hannah Sampson, or you can answer this from the perspective of Stopgap Dance Company. I'll leave it to you, or both. That would be very welcome. What's next? What are your ambitions for the future?
So my next ambitions really, as I said earlier, was to choreograph a solo. And that solo will be choreographed by myself, which will be filmed. And it's a solo about myself and my journey in Stopgap, and what kind of personality I have as well. And this is like, there's a bit of a twist to the solo. So, because before the ideas originally I wanted, didn't really work out that great. So I'm going to twist it around to a much, more of a fantasy side, because I'm into stories, I'm into character work, so, and I quite like to find that character between myself and the fantasy character that I will create for myself. It's a bit more of a dark solo, but hopefully things will be interesting for people to watch.
Well, that was a very intriguing description for sure. Is there anything else you would like people to know about the upcoming show? This is happening, about Stage Door specifically, about your collaboration with...
We're hoping to tour this work. We're really, it's quite a feat to actually self-produce work. And Propeller has basically self-produced this show on a shoestring, administrative team. So, we really hope so much effort goes in, and we really hope that we can keep all of these works in our repertoire and keep finding ways to support our peers in integrated dance and disability arts around the world too, because we're all so busy that we don't get a chance to work together that much or see each other's work. And as a community of artists working in this field, we want to be recognized on the main stages, and not just as something you come and see and advertise during Accessibility Week, which it happens to be in Canada this week, but actually that you come and see the work any week of the year, and it's marketed as a regular show. So it's been a really wonderful experience, and we're so full of gratitude to Stopgap and all of the team there. And we hope that Propeller gets to keep working together with Stopgap in the future as well. We'd love to keep working together.
I guess the whole production of Stage Door and working with this amazing company, Propeller, has been such joy. It's so much fun to be there, in this area, Canada. And it's just great to be there choreographing on them. They're really focused. And I guess, like, in a nutshell, it's just great. Like, I'm really pleased to be here, and it's really welcoming and very warm group to be around. It just feels like a really one big warm hug. Yeah.
Thanks, Allison, for your interest. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. So just a review. This is Happening, presented by Propeller Dance, co-produced by the National Art Center with special guest Stopgap Dance Company, is premiering on June 1st, 2023. There is a Thursday evening performance, a Saturday matinee, and Saturday evening performance. You can find more information about this show, buy tickets, download the program at propellerdance.com. And if you've missed the show, still feel free to log into propellerdance.com and stopgapdance.com to learn more about these amazing companies and the work that they are doing. You've been listening to Dirty Feet. I'm Allison Elizabeth Burns. Music for Dirty Feet by Tristan Henry. Special thanks to Paula Flalo for ongoing support and guidance. And to past contributors for amassing an almost 200 episode archive available at dirtyfeetpodcast.com. Learn more about me at AllisonEB.com. This episode was created thanks to my patrons. To support the show and my other initiatives, visit patreon.com/AllisonEBDance.